Let's imagine for a moment that you fall asleep tonight and awaken tomorrow as a nobleman or woman in our beloved United Kingdom. How would you feel that lovely morning? To know that your childhood home is now worth 142 million Great British pounds, costs $1 million annually just to keep standing, and 1,200 strangers walk through your drawing room every day during peak season. Shockingly, this is the reality of living at Highclere Castle, where the 8th Earl and his family navigate breakfast around film crews, plan dinner parties between tourist hours, and run what amounts to a multi-million-pound commercial operation from rooms their ancestors built for hosting Parliament members and concealing mistresses. The building, recognizable to 120 million television viewers worldwide, isn't a museum or a set. It's someone's actual house, albeit one requiring the business acumen of a Fortune 500 CEO just to prevent the ceilings from literally collapsing onto priceless furniture that's already been sold once to pay death taxes. Victorian aristocrats built Highclere expecting their descendants would maintain it through rents and agricultural income, blissfully unaware that future survival would depend on gin distilleries, Instagram followers, and convincing millions of people that fictional characters' problems somehow justify £26 admission fees. In today's episode of Old Money Mansions, we investigate how Britain's most famous castle engineered its own resurrection through methods so brazenly commercial they would have scandalized the very ancestors whose legacy they're desperately trying to preserve. Stand in the entrance hall of Highclere Castle and you're worth £142 million, at least according to Yopper estate agents who valued this Victorian Gothic pile in October 2022. The valuation captures 300 rooms, 120,000 square feet of Gothic revival architecture, and 5,000 acres of Hampshire countryside that Capability Brown personally sculpted. It also prices in global brand recognition from 120 million Downton Abbey viewers who recognize these honey-coloured Bathstone walls better than their own neighbourhoods. Pass through massive front doors into the entrance hall where soaring Gothic columns support a vaulted ceiling painted in rich colours that Victorian decorators considered appropriately mysterious. 2 carved wyverns crouch beneath the columns, scaly-tailed dragons serving as heraldic bodyguards for a room that hosted both World War I convalescents and Lady Mary Crawley's wedding preparations. Turn right and ascend the grand oak staircase that Thomas Allam designed in 1862, requiring Messrs. Cox and Son of London nearly a year to carve. Through Gothic arches lies the saloon, Highclere's architectural heart, soaring to a triple-height vaulted roof beneath a 19th century skylight. The walls were Cordoban leather dating from 1661, carefully covered in silver gilt, painted, gilded, and embossed in Spain before making its way to Hampshire. The mock hammer beam roof deliberately evokes a medieval great hall, though Allam created it in the 1860s for the 4th Earl. Enter the library through doors leading into Victorian masculine sanctuary, where gilded mahogany bookcases hold more than 5,650 leather-bound books. A secret door disguised with faux book spines provides passage to the music room because 19th century aristocrats appreciated architectural surprises. The state dining room centers on Anthony van Dyck's monumental equestrian portrait of King Charles I, painted around 1633. The painting spent years propped against a barn door at Wilton House after Charles lost his head, nobody wanting portraits of executed monarchs. The drawing room wears pale green damask silk, a wedding gift in 1895 from Alfred de Rothschild to his illegitimate daughter Almina. This Rothschild fortune saved Highclere from Victorian financial ruin and funded both Egyptian excavations and the World War I hospital. Outside, Capability Brown's 1770 landscape creates archetypal English parkland, smooth grass, carefully positioned tree clumps, and serpentine views punctuated by 6 follies. Annual visitors reach 1,200 to 1,500 daily during peak season, each paying £26 to walk through rooms costing £1 million annually to maintain. Highclere Castle Gin, launched 2019, became a $50 million business using lavender from the Monk's Garden and citrus from the Victorian Orangery. Lady Carnarvon maintains a whiteboard listing 40 active projects required to keep the castle standing, from roof repairs to endless water infiltration battles. Standing here amid Van Dycks and Victorian Gothic arches, surrounded by leather worth more than most London flats, this valuation captures something beyond property. But understanding that paradox requires returning to when this hilltop first caught a bishop's eye 1,300 years ago. In 749 AD, when most of England consisted of warring kingdoms and wooden halls, King Cuthred of Wessex granted this Hampshire hilltop to the Bishop of Winchester. For 800 years, successive bishops controlled the estate, building wealth from wool and wheat, while most aristocrats focused on warfare. William of Wykeham, the entrepreneurial bishop who founded Winchester College and New College, Oxford, rebuilt much of the medieval manor from 1368 onward. The bishop's run ended abruptly in 1551 when King Edward VI, Protestant son of Henry VIII, confiscated church properties faster than his father collected wives. The estate bounced through various Tudor courtiers until 1679, when politician Robert Sawyer purchased what was then a modest manor house. Sawyer's descendants, the Herbert family, would transform this hilltop into something far grander than any medieval bishop imagined. The Georgian era brought the first major architectural transformation, as classical symmetry replaced medieval muddle. Then, in 1770, Lancelot Capability Brown arrived for his summer visit, followed by surveyor John Spires, who spent November 7th through 25th creating detailed plans. Brown charged £40 for the alteration of the grounds, £10 for the water, and £25 for many plans for the alteration of the house and offices. Total bill, £127 and 10 shillings, approximately £209,000 in 2015 purchasing power. Brown created his signature style across 6,000 acres, smooth undulating lawns, strategic tree clumps, serpentine water features, and carefully positioned follies as eye-catchers. He explained his method in grammatical terms. Now there I make a comma, and there, where a more decided turn is proper, I make a colon. 6 follies punctuated his landscape sentence: Jackdaw's Castle, Heaven's Gate, Temple of Diana, Etruscan Temple, the Rotunda, and various architectural exclamation points. The Georgian house might have remained pleasantly proportioned, but architecturally unremarkable without Henry Herbert, 3rd Earl of Carnarvon. In 1838, he commissioned Charles Barry, fresh from winning the competition, to design the new Houses of Parliament. Barry proposed transforming the Georgian mansion into a Victorian interpretation of Elizabethan architecture that he termed Anglo-Italian. The architectural press later christened this style Jacobean, combining Elizabethan and Jacobean elements with Italian Renaissance proportions. Barry wrapped the existing Georgian house in a completely new skin of Bath stone transported 82 miles by oxen. The design deliberately evoked Wallerton Hall in Nottinghamshire, with corner turrets and Renaissance detailing. Barry's signature addition, the massive central tower, nearly died on the drawing board when the land agent warned it presented the most alarming danger to your lordship's pocket. Prince Albert himself influenced the final design during an audience, suggesting the window sashes be transformed into mullioned transom windows for greater period authenticity. Construction began in 1839 with the exterior shell, requiring armies of stonemasons working Bath stone into strapwork patterns and Gothic details. By 1849, the exterior stood complete, a honey-coloured testament to Victorian confidence and aristocratic wealth. The 3rd Earl died in 1849, leaving his son to complete the interiors, a task consuming another 29 years. Thomas Allam, Barry's assistant, took charge of interior decoration after Barry's death in 1860. Allam's masterpiece became the saloon, where he created a mock hammer-beam roof with pointed Gothic arches, deliberately evoking medieval great halls. By 1878, when workmen finally packed their tools, Highclere had consumed 40 years and untold thousands of pounds. The 4th Earl, who served in Disraeli's cabinet, used his new Gothic palace as Conservative Party headquarters, where political decisions shaped in the library influenced an empire. As the fourth Earl entertained prime ministers beneath gilded ceilings, archaeology was stirring in Egypt's sand, preparing to write Highclere's most dramatic chapter through weak lungs and a banker's daughter. George Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon, inherited Gothic splendour in 1890, but lacked one essential ingredient for preserving it: money. His solution arrived in 1895, wearing a wedding dress and carrying a dowry large enough to make Victorian accountants weep with joy. Almina Wombwell was the illegitimate daughter of banking millionaire Alfred de Rothschild, who wanted his daughter titled despite her origins. The marriage contract traded Rothschild millions for Carnarvon respectability, a transaction funding both Egyptian archaeology and Gothic survival. Lord Carnarvon, plagued by weak lungs, needed warm winters, making Egypt a medical necessity conveniently aligned with archaeological curiosity. In 1907, he hired a stubborn excavator named Howard Carter to dig in the Valley of the Kings. For 15 years, they sifted through sand and disappointment, unearthing minor relics but no triumphs. By 1922, Carnarvon's patience had worn thinner than papyrus. He nearly cut funding before Carter begged for one more season. On November 4, 1922, Carter's waterboy discovered a step leading to the most intact pharaonic tomb ever found. When Carter peered through a hole and whispered of wonderful things, he gazed upon over 5,000 artifacts, golden coffins, and that immortal death mask. Lord Carnarvon enjoyed 5 months of glory before dying in Cairo on April 5, 1923. The Pharaohs curse myth followed, though a mosquito bite and blood poisoning offer the likelier cause. While her husband hunted pharaohs, Lady Almina found purpose when World War I erupted. In September 1914, she transformed Highclere into a military hospital for wounded officers, applying nursing skills learned after her husband's car crash. Drawing rooms became wards. Blinds shaded southern windows. Almina made beds, dressed wounds, and enforced hygiene standards revolutionary for pre-antibiotic medicine. Her father's money bought an X-ray machine, rare even in army hospitals. She hired 30 nurses, mostly Irish and, according to reports, selected for skill and morale. Leading surgeons came from London to operate with her equipment and discipline. Surviving letters from patients praise her care and record astonishingly low mortality rates. The hospital closed in 1919, and after the 5th Earl's death, His Majesty's revenue demanded £500,000 in death duties. Christie's staged the sale of the century, auctioning jewels and Egyptian treasures. Estate duty, modest in 1894, climbed to 65% by 1941, forcing aristocrats to liquidate legacies. The 6th Earl weathered depression and war. The 7th inherited decay. By 2001, the 8th Earl faced collapsing ceilings, rotting timbers, and 50 uninhabitable rooms. Repairs required £12 million the estate didn't have. Then, in 2009, Julian Fellows arrived with a script that would turn televised fiction into Highclere's salvation, proof that, in modern Britain, even the noblest roofs sometimes need television to keep from caving in. Julian Fellows arrived at Highclere with a script about Yorkshire aristocrats, a film crew chasing Edwardian authenticity and unknowingly carrying the castle's financial salvation. Downton Abbey premiered on ITV on September 26, 2010, amid Britain's austerity years, when fantasies about benevolent aristocrats proved comforting. The series aired in 220 countries, reaching 120 million viewers who adored the fictional Crawleys while rescuing the real Herberts. PBS's masterpiece theatre found its biggest hit since Pride and Prejudice, as Americans embraced Fellows' vision of Britishness served with silver. While Lady Mary endured fictional heartbreaks, the real Lady Carnarvon, a former accountant from St Andrews, calculated visitor revenue with spreadsheet precision. Tourism surged from hundreds to 1,200 daily visitors, sometimes 1,500 when weather allowed. The Centre for Economics and Business Research estimated Downton filming sites generated £172 million in consumer spending. Studies showed 42% of California travelers and 28% of UK trips included castle visits sparked by television drama tourism. The first Downton Abbey film in 2019 grossed $194 million, with sequels following. Beyond box office, Highclere created revenue streams that would make Victorian ancestors question inheritance. Highclere Castle Gin launched in 2019 with Connecticut entrepreneur Adam von Gutken, becoming a $50 million business using estate botanicals, lavender from the monk's garden, citrus from the Victorian orangery, and oats once reserved for racehorses. 200 competitions awarded it top honours, including a perfect score from the Major League Spirits Association. During COVID lockdowns, virtual cocktail parties drew 100,000 guests seeking aristocratic escape. Lady Canavun published Lady Almina and the Real Downton Abbey and sequels, monetizing the castle story while curating its image. Her Instagram's 67,000 followers enjoy Gothic glimpses without ticket prices. Friends of Highclere memberships cost £125 annually for book clubs and exclusive content. Commercial ventures multiplied. Viking Cruises added Highclere stops, Bellman's British Pullman runs themed journeys, and weddings command premium prices to marry where Matthew proposed to Mary. Corporate events bring five-figure sums for meetings in rooms once hosting political deals. The 6,000-acre estate now includes tenant farms, horse feed businesses, rental cottages, forestry, and a vineyard planted in 2018 for future Chateau Highclere sparkling rosé. Staff rose to 80, reversing aristocratic downsizing. English heritage agreements trade privacy for tax relief. Annual costs hover near £1 million, funded through diversified income. Visit Britain campaigns leverage Downton's success, and academics study the Downton effect on heritage survival. Modern Highclere thrives as home, attraction, filming site, gin distillery, vineyard and brand. Its £142 million value proving that in 21st century Britain, saving your castle may require letting television pretend it belongs to someone else. And now, we'd like to see you in the comments. Do you believe Highclere is the most beautiful building in the United Kingdom? Or is there another one that you prefer? We look forward to hearing your thoughts below, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Old Money Mansions.